Hello, this is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe. This is the second time that I am on today because the good news just keeps coming. I got clarification on some of the more vague T visa rules. Now, earlier, just today, I got a question about the T visa, whether you can get the work permit while you are waiting for your T visa approval. Now, initially, there is the bona fide determination was issued after. This was vague with the T visa, but usually, for example, in the U visa, it's only when they've reached the maximum number of visas that can be issued in a year that they then refer the individual, the applicant, to get deferred action and their work permit. Well, I just came out of a meeting with other attorneys that we're all trying to work through the changes and get clarification about what these changes mean. And one of the major developments with the T visa is that they are now implementing a new process in the T visa process. It's called the BFD, bona fide determination process, where after August 28th, they are going to now do a preliminary review of the applications for T visa. And if all the requirements they see based on that initial determination that the requirements are met, the basic requirements are met, they are going to issue a bona fide determination letter. Even before the quota for these visas are met, they're going to then issue a bona fide determination letter and then process a work permit application so that you'd be able to have your work permit while they make a final decision on your application. That is amazing. That is what we have been wanting because many of my clients are in dire straits and they've had to be waiting for a year. Now we could get these work permits in 3 to 6 months. Now keep in mind this is all new, but there is this process in place, and that's why I'm going to tell you this. Run, don't walk to apply for this, because these kinds of benefits, this is what attracts many people to apply. And then you start having the long wait lists and long processing times. So run, don't walk. If you qualify for T status, now is the time to apply, because after August 28th, they're going to be processing the applications for the T visa, doing this preliminary review. And then what we do on our end is we're going to file the work permits with the initial application. So as soon as they determine that you're going to get the bona fide determination, then you'll be able to they process the work permit right after. Now, the work permit is still discretionary, meaning they still have to look to determine whether you warrant their favorable discretion to get this. However, I wouldn't say this is going to be a major hurdle, right? They often do that for example, for the U visa, they often do that. They state it's discretionary, and they still do a review just to see if there are any concerns before they issue the bona fide determination letter. So run, don't walk for this, because this is amazing, amazing. This is going to do amazing things for my current clients as well as, I'm pretty sure, new clients that are coming in. Now, how do you qualify for this? You have to qualify for T status. Once you do, then you have to apply for the work permit with the application. So we are implementing that into our systems. And then we're also going to be revisiting our clients who have been waiting. We're going to go ahead, revisit their eligibility for this deferred action, and go ahead and get them started on this process as well. This is amazing. Now, so many good things happening. Had approvals today, but then to get this clarification, it was like a miracle happening, because so many of my clients ask me, can I get the work permit while I wait? And here it makes it possible to do that. The new regulations make it possible to do this. Now, another reassuring fact here. Now, with the regulations, the regulations allow for further clarification, right? So a lot of this are not necessarily changes to the policy manual, but what it is they're clarifying these points that were vague before. The policies regarding how they would handle cases was vague before, right? And in a way, the process that they said where now they're implementing a new process to process for bona fide determination is a new process. But keep in mind, it might be their way of stating too, or preparing for the fact that they are going to reach the maximum number of visas for the year. But the good news is that there is this possibility to get relief even before the application is approved. One other concern is if it's denied, in the case that it's denied, what are the risks involved? Will you get a notice to appear for deportation proceedings? USCIS stated very clearly that that is not a part of their policy, because regardless of what the decision is, the applicants are still victims, right? Victims of circumstances, victims of abuse, even if they're not approved. And so that's contrary to their principles to then issue a notice to appear to people who are reaching out for help. So they stated clearly they do not issue notices to appear outside of course, if they see something really concerning, like, say you are um, pose a threat to public and national security. That is the only way. If they see through your background check, you pose a threat to public and national security, that may be an exception. And that has to be extreme for you to be able to be a threat to public and national security, like maybe terrorist activities in the past. That would then, of course, because one of the things is to keep America safe, to make sure that they are looking out for things like that. But that is the only exception here. They do not issue notices to appear to get you deported, because the number one question I get is, will I be deported if it's denied? The answer is likely not. It's very likely you won't, based on their current policy. So I hope this gives you further clarifications. So can you switch from VAWA to T? Now, you can apply for VAWA and T at the same time. There are different case types. So, that means that, for example, for the law firm, we would be filing new cases, but it is possible to file both at the same time. I would say VAWA, especially if you're already a couple months into VAWA, you're probably going to be better off there. But if you do qualify for T status, uh, and they don't contradict each other, absolutely, that is something to look into. You're very welcome, Michelle. I am so happy I could give this clarification. Today is a really good day. All right. What's the new update? Okay, so I hope you caught on somewhere along the line, but this is great things are happening right now in immigration. So this is why I say move forward. You're better off moving forward, because look at this. And there's a lot more in the changes. So we went over other types of changes. For example, leaving the country does not by itself determine that you are no longer qualified for T. I mean, you do have to show that your re-entry into the country was still as a result related somehow to your victimization, or that you had to come back for treatment or cooperation with certain agencies or law enforcement agencies if it was a situation where law enforcement was involved. So they are a lot more open about not just denying it because you left the country and saying you don't qualify, but figuring out what happened with your re-entry. Was it a part of the pattern of getting you to do things that you didn't want to do? Did they lure you back into the country after you left the country? Another thing is extreme hardship. So before, they used to base extreme hardship only on the applicant. They didn't really care about anybody else. Even if you had citizen children, they would not necessarily, that would not be a strong point to make. But what you had to do was state how it affected your extreme hardship. But now they are more open to accepting arguments that not only you will face extreme hardship, but you can also establish that others will experience extreme hardship if you have to leave the United States to go back to your country. So there's a lot in there, just a lot of clarifications. It's the same policy manual, except for, just clarifying what their policies are, what their processes are. So I just wanted to tell you this because I know previously too, in our previous live, we talked, there was a question about that. So I wanted to clarify. My interview didn't go well, so definitely give us a call. Talk to us about what happened, and we can see if we can help you here. Okay, I reached my 2 year, 2 year and 2 months. I have not heard anything. How soon will I hear from them? I'm not sure what case type it is. Okay, so Child of God Mackie, in a nutshell, I don't know if you caught on, but in a nutshell, T visa applicants will now be considered for what's called bona fide determination at letter. In the process, they'll be subject to a preliminary review. And then after the preliminary review, they will issue a bona fide determination letter if they say, okay, this is a properly filed application with all the elements met. They're going to do a final review, but in the meantime, they're going to issue this BFD and then allow you to apply for a work permit, and then they'll consider the work permit. It's still discretionary, but as long as you've met all the requirements, there's very little risk that they'll deny it. So that's a change right now, and that's going to go into effect August 28th. My friend came here from Turkey, got asylum visa, but the wife came here as B1, B2 from Turkey. She's Turkish citizen, but she used her Philippine passport. Can she apply for asylum also? Now, when it comes on to having dual citizenship, it basically complicates the asylum, because not only do you have to show that you can't go back to Turkey, but you also have to show that you can't go back to the Philippines. So it complicates it, because at least one of those countries may be safe, may be deemed safe. So it really depends on the facts here. But usually where they see that there's another country that you could go back to, that is a sure denial unless you can show that you can't return to any of those countries. Will a T status derivative receive work permit as well? Yes, the T visa derivative will go through the same thing if they're in the US. If they're in the US, they will go through the same process, and that work permit, after they get bona fide determination, that derivative can apply for the work permit as well. What about persons who apply for T status already? So based on my understanding, they should be subject to this bona fide determination process. So we are coming up with processes to be able to file those additional work permits to get the or the additional work permit application to get the work permits based on a bona fide determination. What if you enter the US legally on a tourist visa and you overstayed? Can you apply for green card and/or work permit? Very general. Generally, you come in on a tourist visa and overstay. that fact alone is not going to let me know you qualify. What lets me know whether you qualify is if you came and you faced certain circumstances that led to you needing relief, right? And for example, the T status that I'm talking about, many of my clients end up being coming to the US, end up being lured into a situation where they're working for somebody who then forces them into a situation they did not want to be in. And that's what leads to relief for them to get the T status. So that is where the consultation is very, very important because it allows us to evaluate your circumstances and determine whether you can qualify for T status. If I work for someone in the past and they promised to sort out my paper, but they never did, they have me working sometimes. I don't get paid. I came here legally. What can be done? This here is based on what my cases are. We've gotten approvals based on similar circumstances. This is called fraud, labor trafficking by fraud. The person tells you, come work for me, I'll get you your papers. And then you find that you're in this situation, working your butt off, and they start to renege on what they agreed, right? So, one, you're not seeing them filing any papers. Two, they start to not pay you, or they start to not pay you on time, or they underpay you, or they pay you less than what they promised. And they keep you in this cycle of feeling like you need to keep working because if you stop working, you're not going to get your papers. That's what you're thinking to keep you working. That's what makes it labor trafficking by fraud. Because if someone came to you and said exactly what their motive was, if somebody came up to you and said, come work for me for nothing. And it's just going to be that you're just going to come to the US and work for me like a slave. You're not going to be paid, and you're not going to get any papers. Your answer would be absolutely not. But what happens is they give you these enticing promises, and you end up in that situation anyway because you end up relying on their promise, coming and working for little and nothing, and you keep working thinking these papers are coming. So we've gotten approvals based on that. So give me a call. You can schedule with Attorney Bria as well. Let Attorney Bria know what you've been through, as well as me. So look at our schedules. Our schedules are there. And we also have another attorney that's going to be joining. We are all experienced attorneys and we can advise you here. And we are working closely together to help as many people as possible. I believe it is my moral obligation to help as many people as possible, and this is why I'm creating these resources for you to be able to get timely assistance, timely consultations, to be able to get the help. Once we determine that you do qualify, we get to work. Our legal team gets to work. Me and the legal team gets to work to get this done for you. All right. How long does a work permit take? I petitioned for my husband. It was processed March. So I'd say 3 to 6 months. Um, if I work for someone in the past, so Jules, give me a call. Let's talk. It doesn't matter how long ago this happened, by the way. We want to talk to you. What does T visa mean? I hope you got the gist of it from everything I said before. Willa T. Um, Okay, so my consultation with your firm stated if I have an open case, it disqualifies from retaining your firm. So in the appointments, we do evaluate the additional complications, liabilities related to the open case. And if it presents too much of a liability for us, then yes, we do not take it because we don't want to take on something that another person or another attorney did that may be irreversible. So we do an individual evaluation and then we make that determination. So it really is on a case by case basis. If it can be fixed, we can do that. But if not, sometimes the damage is already done. So we have to be very careful with that. I reached my 2 years. So I answered that. All right, let's see. I think I went through all the questions here. So I'm going to go here. So can overseas parent apply for EB2 NIW with ADHD US citizen child? National interest waiver is not a family-based category. So having a US citizen child is not going to determine your eligibility for the national interest waiver. National interest waiver is more employment based. So you have to make sure that you understand if somebody is telling you all of this, that you can apply for the national interest waiver based on your US citizen child's ADHD. Scam. Can tell you this right now. Somebody's telling you this, scam. And unfortunately, a lot of people have been victims of national interest waiver, telling, notarios, so-called immigration specialists, telling people you qualify to apply for the green card through the NIW. And they tell them all sorts of things. The NIW is based on, do you have an advanced degree, an advanced degree as in a master's or a PhD? And then it also goes on, once you have those, then you go on to the next prong, which they evaluate whether you are going to achieve a goal of national importance and substantial merit, whether you have the means to achieve that goal. And then the last is whether the United States is going to benefit from waiving any requirements that an employer file for you to be, to file for yourself. Like, how is the US going to benefit from doing that? That is what it's based on. Now, if you don't have an advanced degree, like a PhD or a master's, the next thing they're going to do is they're going to look at whether you have exceptional ability. Now, here I notice you said overstayed. So being overstayed, it presents a major issue. And the other issue here is, yes, you can file a petition, but when the petition is approved and it's time to apply for the adjustment of status, you have to show that you are applying for adjustment of status at a time that your status is current. If you don't have current status, then you cannot apply for adjustment of status based on the national interest waiver petition. So you have to be careful with this and make sure that you understand. Here's what I say. When it comes to employment based, there are very limited circumstances where you can overstay your visa and still apply for this. Very limited under employment based categories. So I'm from Jamaica. My wife is a U.S. citizen. She filed the I-130 at Nebraska Service Center. How long to be approved and send to NVC? I'd say 9 to 12 months for it to get to the NVC. All right. Thanks so much for the love. I appreciate it. I have perm bar with 4 deportations. My lawyer says I should apply for PIP. Thoughts, please. So you should always defer to your attorneys. But based on my reading of the regulations, they do not say that you are barred from getting the PIP. Keep in mind that PIP is discretionary. So, for example, if they see behavior that is sheds a negative light on your conduct, that can affect the officer's discretionary decision. So for example, you have permanent bar with 4 deportations. It all depends on circumstances, right? So I don't know the specific facts. So yes, you have 4 deportations, but what was behind these deportations? What was the compelling reason why you repeatedly entered the United States and then got deported? We'd have to understand those to be able to decide whether the PIP is for you. But the PIP, having a permanent bar does not mean that you can't get the PIP, right? But it does mean that if you can't overcome the permanent bar at the adjustment of status stage, you wouldn't be able to move any forward. So even if you get approved for PIP, you would not be able to get the adjustment of status unless there's some exception in your case, of course. I petitioned for my wife since February. How long you think I have to hear from immigration? So I would say under a year, if you got the receipt notice, I would under a year. EAD not sending back on time due to lost my job. What? And due to that, you lost your job. I'm so sorry. Now, keep in mind, if you are renewing your EAD, you could use your expired card and the document, the receipt notice that says you have 540 days extension on that expired card. A lot of employers don't know this, and a lot of applicants don't know this, but that receipt notice can serve as a renewal, automatic renewal of your EAD. And it also depends on what your case type is, by the way. For example, if you're doing adjustment of status, that applies. Does US conduct visa interview to couples together for B1, B2 visa or individually? So usually it's individually. However, they do reserve the right to do it for the both of you as well. What are the reasons not getting renewal on time? Even I applied 6 months ago. I'm so sorry, but processing times, it's so frustrating. How long after filing the PIP do you get approval? So usually this is all new. We're all trying to see the pattern of approval here. But based on my experience with PIP in the military context, it usually is about 3 to 6 months. But we have to see the pattern here once they get into the groove of things. How long will a green card be issued for travel once PIP is approved? So keep in mind, green card PIP does not equal green card. That's what I was trying to explain previously. Like some people say, oh, can I switch from VAWA and go to PIP? VAWA equals green card, right? In most cases. PIP does not directly equals green card. PIP means that you get permission to stay here. If you leave the country on PIP, your PIP is canceled. When you get PIP, it's going to be up to you to then apply for adjustment of status, and you can get a travel document while you're applying for adjustment of status. Adjustment of status is the process of applying for the green card while you're here. So step 1, PIP. Step 2, once PIP is approved, work permit application and adjustment of status application if you choose to do that at the same time. Then green card comes, right? So that's how it works. I got approved for my T visa 3 years now, just sent my green card application. Awesome, exciting. Keep me posted. Can I apply for advance parole to attend a wedding overseas while awaiting my pending asylum case? Where's the wedding? If the wedding is in your country, be very careful. And I also say, even with a pending asylum case, you need to be careful. Because if you apply for a travel document while you're applying for asylum, then that can raise all sorts of questions in your cases in the future. Pending asylum does not guarantee an approval, and it can actually complicate your case if you're traveling outside of the US. Can I ask USCIS to move my case to immigration court? I don't know why you would want to do that. That sounds nerve-wracking. It's usually not their process to issue notices to appear. That would be a new one for me. Do you know if veterans get a discount or some fees waived for starting spouse sponsorship. So no, there's no not specifically for veterans. I know veterans. Well, for your adjustment, your affidavit of support, you can make less, but in I no discount right now for adjustment of status. I got my advanced parole, travel, asylum, and reentry U.S. immigration officer stamped until 2025. It just means they paroled you into the country. Good afternoon. What if you come and you're visiting visa? Can you get one? What if you come and you're on your visiting visa? Can you get one? It depends on what you want to apply for. If we're talking about the T visa, that's where we want to schedule the consultation. Tash, I wanted to book a consultation, but you are all booked out. But Attorney Bria is not. So please make sure you take advantage of our services. Attorney Bria is part of this law firm, and all the attorneys are part of the law firm. They're an extension of me. We work together closely, and you're passing up an opportunity to definitely get advice on your case and how to move forward. So look at Attorney Bria's schedule as well, not just mine. Yes, I'm booked out. That's why I say jump on it, don't wait. But Attorney Bria is also available. How long does OPLA take to respond to a request of reopening an old case? So it can take months. It can take months, even up to a year. How long is citizenship taking right now? It can be anywhere from 2 months to 8 months. I have a marriage-based petition that is pending, but I need to file VAWA. Get in touch with us. Let's talk about what you're going through. We can definitely help you. We work on those. How long does it take T visa to process? About 1 year right now. The processing time can range 6 months to 18 months, 1 year. But keep in mind, now they're implementing a new process after August 28th of this year. So that's what, 2 days from now on Wednesday. After August or on August 28th, what's going to go into effect is a preliminary bona fide determination process where you could then get your work permit before that year is up. So jump on it. So I'm filing for my sister from March 2008, and look at the National Visa Bulletin, and it's going to tell you which cases they're processing now. What can be expected when you go to a field office for undelivered mail and also address update? So it depends on your circumstances. If you're worried about something, make sure you get legal advice before you go walk into any USCIS office. Can I have your number? Scroll to the top of the comments on this comment section. You'll see my number. It's also on every video. So go to the profile page. You can go to the link in the profile, go to the website. You'll see the number there. It's also all over my videos. So please make sure you look at the videos or at the top of this page. Okay, so I'm all booked out. Yes, yes, because we're helping, but keep in mind, Attorney Bria is not. So make sure that you schedule with any one of our attorneys so that we can talk. Now, in the case that you speak, we do have a Spanish speaking attorney who's joining. We have Spanish speaking staff. We do not have a French speaker, but in some cases I do represent clients from all over the world who speak a multitude of different languages. So what we do in those cases is we have a translator present, so you can always still schedule the appointment, and you can get your own translator, like a family member who can translate for you. How about the parole in place? Is it already stopped or filed? So yes, so that is what we are looking at now. So some of the states did file a lawsuit to try to stop this parole in place. So we have to see where it's going. I haven't seen any kind of stop to the process. We have to watch it, and hopefully the court will not find put it on hold and we'll keep the process going pending the litigation. So I'll keep you posted on that, but still move forward with filing, get it in. All right, and let me see if we have any other questions. I'm watching you from Paris. Hi there in Paris. Just go through here. I'm on Instagram, just see what other additional questions have come in. Okay, so how long will the work permit valid for with this new T visa update? So the deferred action, usually they issue it for 1 year, 1 to 2 years. That's the regular time. I know for the U visa, it's 4. So our clients have gotten it for 4 years because it is so long. T visa does not take as long. So you can expect it to be maybe a year work permit or a year or 2-year work permit. But keep in mind, this is new. This is all new. So we have to, watch and see how this works, and then I can be able to give you more of a timeline. Would it affect your case if you and your spouse got into a fight and they went to jail? Would that affect their case in any way? It may, depending on what charges were brought and what it involved. Okay, so my T visa application was sent in October last year. Will this new update apply to me? I'd be grateful if so. So we are still, on our end, we are still moving forward with evaluating what evaluating moving forward with all our pending cases, giving, submitting an additional work permit application to allow USCIS to consider bona fide determination, consideration, even while the case is pending, because we don't know where they are on the case. But if it was filed last October, a decision may even come before this bona fide determination, because the bona fide determination is a preliminary review, which means that the case may very well be on its way to a full review and there may not be a need for a bona fide determination. So it just depends. We are still moving forward with implementing a new system for our existing clients and also our existing and new clients to get these filed after August 28th. But it just depends on where they are with the application. That may not even be adjudicated. The bona fide determination consideration may not even be processed because it might already be in full review. Hello, please. I just visited the USCIS website, read more about T visa work permit bona fide determination, but I did not see it on their website. So it's on their regulations. It is published. So this is clarification on their policy manual. So you're going to see it in the regulations. And it's, if you go to news and then you click on the news about the T visa, and then you'll be able to read it in detail. Is there one T or VAWA? So this is T. Okay, all right. So that's gonna be it from me. I know on Instagram I got kicked off, so thanks for bearing with me. And I just had to come back for a second time to share this news with you. And then, as we move forward, we're gonna just implement this in our processes happily. We're already working with the legal team to get this done. So as I said before, run, don't walk, A lot of good things happening in immigration right now. Hopefully, as we approach the election, we continue to see great developments, and all being well, once we have a new president, and that president is Kamala Harris, all being well, this is going to be based on our hard work, but all being well, she becomes president. She has talked about comprehensive immigration reform, but we have to also vote the right representatives in, the right senators in, to be able to support these laws. Because, mind you, Biden has done fair work, fair progressive work on immigration the best he could. But as you can see, these types of changes are always subject to challenges because they're not codified in statute. They are not part of statute, and only Congress can pass these laws, and then it goes to the president who signs the law. So if we want to see solid immigration reform, don't just do your research on the president, right? The president doesn't make laws. The president just signs off on the law after Congress passes it. So if you're a citizen, you can't vote as a resident, can't register to vote as a resident, permanent resident. Only if you're a US citizen, you're a new citizen, make sure that you go ahead and do your research. Make sure you are voting in candidates who are going to support comprehensive immigration reform. Because if we can get the majority in the House and Senate, it's going to be a certainty that we will see even greater things coming next year. So the president is one thing. Yes, with Trump in place, we can be sure that we'll see Project 2025 implemented. I did a video about that, which is pretty scary. Not only immigrants are on the block, on the chopping block, but everybody, women are on the chopping block as well. So people who identify people of color in this country are at risk as well. So, and then the structures in the United States that the United States has held there, that has helped us to progress as a society, will also be at risk. So make sure you're doing your part. We don't watch the polls. The polls don't determine who wins. Don't make the same mistake as 2016, where we just assumed that Hillary Clinton was going to win, and many people sat out the election because of that, because they thought Trump couldn't possibly win, and the worst happened. Do not make assumptions here. Make sure you show up at the voting poll. Make sure you show up there and you vote. Make sure you're checking your voters registration. Make sure you're checking where you have to vote. Make sure if you have a mail-in ballot, make sure all of that is up to date. And make sure if you're a new citizen, you have to register to vote, and there are deadlines. So check your state, vote.org. Right, that is a website that can give you a lot of information. That's a good starting point. Go there. So if you're about to become a citizen, you're a new citizen, or you're already a citizen and you know what's on the line, please make sure that you do everything to show up and vote. Because all these great developments, yes, they're as a result of the Biden administration, but we can see so much more greater things happening come next year if we have the right people in. All right, that's going to be it from me. Thanks everyone for your time. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.